Hi. So, to explain why we're starting off super weirdly and shit, it's because I won't introduce the topic regularly, because my target already explains what's going on and what he's talking about, and I feel like my audience will understand what's going on once we play the video. Now with all of that said, let's begin this.
So this states, in regards to a recent wave of blatantly transphobic behavior on TikTok, this is referencing the super straight movement, I need you to understand that as a straight white male, if you are not dating transgender woman, you are transphobic. By rejecting a trans person, you are basically invalidating their gender identity. Yes, people have types, but if your type specifically excludes transgender people, you are transphobic and I won't entertain any other thoughts. Get the fuck out of here with your transphobia. Now, this is a very interesting example because a lot of people, specifically progressive users on Twitter, really adopted this mindset, but I have to fundamentally disagree with this entire sentiment. Here's why. For this whole conversation, we first need to establish that a transgender person should be fully and completely seen as normal women or men and therefore be treated and respected just like biological women are. I absolutely agree with the transgender identity and I heavily disapprove of some people still acting in a condescending way towards people with a transgender background. For real, why would it even bother you what they identify as? I really can't comprehend this alt-right philosophy of transphobia, but still it has to be clarified that not accepting people with transgender backgrounds and not pursuing any relationships with people with transgender backgrounds are two vastly different outlooks. Just because you aren't interacting with any transgender individuals, you can still be, believe it or not, accepting of the same group of people. You know,
Right off the bat, I agree. People who still go with the mindset to completely reject trans people is toxic. Not a kinda, not a maybe, just straight up toxic. You shouldn't care about people's backgrounds. It's not something that you have to care about that much. However, here's my problem with Mater's point. It's blatantly strawmanning this post. The poster's issue is not that you don't interact with a lot of trans people. It's that rejecting dating someone who is trans is transphobic. Nobody gives a single fuck about whether or not you have trans people in your contacts. The problem is if you reject them.
Just call me delightful!
Now, this post in particular also applied this entire transgender acceptance conversation not to just mutual acquaintanceship, but expanded onto transgender relationships, painting everybody that refuses to enter these kind of relationships as a transphobe, specifically if you are a straight white male. But I'll purposely choose to ignore the cis white male remarks as this isn't a discussion about straight white males, and their particular mindset of only white males being transphobic is vastly unpopular anyway. You should either hold the opinion that everyone not dating transgender people is transphobic, or that nobody is. You can't just say as a white male you're transphobic, but as a black guy it's somehow impossible for you to be a transphobe.
Okay, you're not wrong if I just saw this as some statement and not some response to a post. But the fuck does this have to do with straight white cis males? Nothing in the post even talked about straight white cis males other than the poster saying that they are a straight white cis male. The fuck?
For relationships with people with transgender background, I personally at least strongly hold the opinion that it should be entirely your choice who you would like to enter relationships with. Nobody else should be allowed to force you to start dating someone just because of their identity or background other than yourself.
Nobody is forcing anyone to date a trans person. Nobody is trying to hook someone because they're trans. The point is that you shouldn't reject a trans person simply because they're trans. Dude, this isn't that hard to understand. Okay, I'm just sitting here editing, and while I was adjusting the clip for the interjection, I was thinking of this really funny thing. So Modders said, no one is allowed to force you to date someone because of their nationality except for you. And they listened to that. And I'm just like, isn't forcing yourself, keyword, yourself, to do something considered unhealthy to society at least? Maybe it's just me thinking too deeply about this, but wow, it's just really funny.
Wait, you're the guy from my video game. Can I have your autograph?
What are you thinking? This is obviously not asexuality, but just personal preference. But what you're forgetting is this is TikTok. What do you expect? Still, while I hold no respect for the sexual movement, I also heavily disapprove of the mindset that a lot of people have been getting into as a response to this movement of, oh, just because this person is a minority, you need to date them if they're even remotely interested in you, which is being portrayed in the sample I read, for example. And I just have to say, no, it's clearly not. It again comes down to personal preference, which should be extremely apparent from the get-go. We could again move this to gay people. Here they are saying you are dating transgender people, meaning you specifically exclude a certain group of people from your dating life, therefore you are transphobic. But that would also mean all straight men are homophobic because they don't date gay people. They specifically don't engage in intimate relationships with them for the obvious reason of not being attracted to other men. What's more is that this could even be applied to gay people themselves. They're also by your logic excluding a specific group of people, that being women and straight men, and that would make them something phobic as well, wouldn't it?
What? That is not how this works. And this is such an annoying stretch for double standards I've seen in a while. First of all, gay and lesbians or any sexuality that excludes a certain gender aren't excluding a certain group of people that have been oppressed for years, being trans people. It's just, I don't want to date a certain gender, I'm attracted to this gender more, but not that one. That's not how this mindset works. It's about how trans people get excluded because they're trans. Nobody gives a shit if you exclude a certain gender. That's up to you, my man. But excluding trans people because they're trans is the problem. They should be treated normally. Just another person that identifies with a gender, nothing else. And that is it. The rest of the video is just so much of fluff that I don't care about. I hope you have a great day and take care. Finn, from Adventure Time.